Gen Z scares me. Do Gen Z scare you? Because I'll order a coffee from a Gen Z barista and I'm terrified. They just look so angry. And if you smile, they get angrier. And there's this new Gen Z artist out there, and her lyrics just scare me. It goes like this: thigh high, boots to the I don't want a city boy scared of the bush. Wait, how does it go after that? Warship, my foot. Illiterate, I think he's never read a book. And I just feel like that those lyrics just sum up Gen Z. But okay, that's all I have on that. I was feeling really grumpy this morning, just really angry. Uh, sometimes you just wake up on the wrong side of the bed and there's no reason for it. I slept for 12 hours and I'm not kidding. I slept for 12 hours. I felt very run down because I went to Las Vegas and I'm going to tell you all about that. Some funny stories from there, but I just woke up on the wrong side of the bed. I was very grumpy, very angry. They say that the inside of your car is a perfect representation of the inside of your brain, and my car is an absolute shit show inside. There's just garbage everywhere, Cheerios, old coffee cups, dirty napkins. It smells like an old sandwich, and I haven't even eaten a sandwich in there in a year. So it's disgusting. Okay. So that's like my mental state right now. So anyway, I was feeling really grumpy. I got the kids off to school, came back, and I'm like, what is going to cheer me up? Because I'm pissed. I'm f***ing mad and I don't even know why. And so I was like, what cheers me up? Masturbating? Yeah. Morning affirmations? Yeah. Combine the two? Yes. So I basically jilled off this morning to morning affirmations. So anyway, that really worked. Just putting it out there, try it if you haven't. I felt like I was on top of the world. Anyway, I want to talk about Las Vegas. So you guys, I went to Las Vegas, my least favorite place on earth, last week for 2 days. I went Wednesday through Friday for work. And again, I don't drink, I don't gamble, I don't smoke, I don't really go see shows. What the am I supposed to do, right? I mean, I went for work, I was filming a thing there, and so that was cool. But I gotta say, it was kind of a great trip. I I have been on my phone way less. Now, it's not to say that I'm not on it. I still am, but way the less. And I think it's because I was at one of my recovery meetings and I came across this stand-up comedian guy who is also in the program. And he was telling me how he has not used social media in like 5 years. He's against it entirely. He doesn't consume podcasts, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, anything. And it was just fascinating to me because, especially as an entertainer, as an artist, it's like, well, if you're not on social media, how are you marketing yourself? How are you promoting yourself? But he is just so against it. And I think he probably was addicted to it for a time, just like drugs and alcohol, and it was robbing him of his life. And so he just is completely abstinent from it. And but it was just really inspiring. Now, I'm obviously not saying I'm not going to consume social media at all. It's obviously my job, but it's my job to create and put fun things out there. And then I don't have to doom scroll for 3 hours and watch, disturbing videos about Gaza. And then right after that, a video of a cat dancing in a bathtub. It's like very confusing. And I think we're probably consuming way more information than we're meant to. So my point is I'm using social media way less. I'm being more in the moment. I even noticed, when I was with my kids sometimes, I'd be scrolling on my phone and my daughter was, "Mom." It's like, "Oh, hold on." Because I'm on my phone. No. Horrible. I just refuse to be that parent. And I think we're all probably guilty of it, right? It's progress, not perfection, but just being aware of how much time we spend on our phone. I'm curious, how much time do you spend on your phone? Have you checked? Because it tells you. Have you checked how many hours you're on your phone a day? I want to know in the comments below. Tell me, because there were days that my phone would say 8 hours, 8 hours. Now I justified it because I work on my phone. I'm writing my third book. I'll literally open up this app called Otter AI, which transcribes everything you say, and I will transcribe chapter ideas and stories and jokes into Otter AI. So I'm taking my walk and using my phone to write out these chapters and then sending it to myself to edit. But like, nonetheless, it's on my phone, or I'll edit videos on my phone, or I'll make videos on my phone, or I'll do stories. But again, that's justifying. I'm also just on there consuming that I don't necessarily need to consume. I would say that listening to morning affirmations while jailing off that's productive. That is productive. So anyway, I'm in this head space of just being aware of how much I'm using my phone. I go out to lunch with my daughter, and then I promise you I'll tell my Vegas story in just a second. But I go out to lunch with my daughter the other day. And again, I'm just aware of not using my phone, even just pulling it out to just check, oh, did my mom call back or whatever? No, not on it. So we sit down and dude, we're just sitting there looking at each other, having this great conversation. She's like, I'm really hungry. When's the food coming? And I was like, hey, why don't we try counting to 100? She's like, 100? I don't know how to count to 100. She's 4. And I was like, well, let's try. Let's count to 100. And I bet you by the time we get to 100, your food's going to come out. And she was like, all right, fine. So I'm like, 1. And she goes, 2. And I said, 3. And she said, 4. And we keep going and we keep going. And then around 60 or so, she gets confused and we work it out, get to 70, get to 80, get to 90. And we're literally counting 99. She goes, 100. We did it. And right as we did it, right as we hit to 100, the waiter came out with our food. And it was like the coolest thing, right? But my point is, I turn to the right and I see this old couple, really cute couple. They look about 85, and they had a dog and just adorable, but they were both just on their phones the entire lunch. I kept looking over and I was like seeing like, what is he looking at? And I think it was some news app and I couldn't see her phone, but I was just curious. I'm like, if they're on their phones the entire lunch, we're cooked, as the Gen Z would say. We are cooked because they're 80. They have no excuse. Um, but even they are addicted. I mean, truly, they did not make eye contact. And it could be that they've been together for 60 years and they just wanted to be on their phones, and maybe that's fine. But it did feel, I've just been so aware. I even looked to the left of me and I saw this family, and it was a husband and a wife and 2 kids. One looked about 2, one looked about 4. And it's not that they were fully ignoring their kids. They weren't, but I caught them looking at their phones several times, pulling out their phones, just scroll. You could just see them going through that scrolling hand motion. And it just is because it's so addictive. Like, I'm not blaming or pointing fingers. That probably was me the week before. It's only because I've become so aware from meeting this anomaly, this man who is this brilliant stand-up comedian that's been doing it for 20 years, that knows and performs with all the biggest stand-ups, and then drives an Uber between stand-up gigs because he has no social media presence, can't market himself, and can't sell out shows because nobody knows he exists unless if they're in that comedy club, because he's against social media. But he's determined to become a huge stand-up and make it solely by performing live and not engaging in, he doesn't do anything to do with AI or social media. And, even though, he's performing every day and driving an Uber to get by, like, he's just seems so happy and so present, because he's not a prisoner of this tiny coffin that we call a phone. But anyway, I don't think it's all bad. It's not black and white, but my point is I've been very aware of how much time I've been spending. I've been spending way less on it. And I got to say, I just feel like a better parent. I feel like a happier human for the most part. So when I went to Vegas, I was still in that mindset, right? And so I sit down and yeah, next to me sits this man. And instead of going into my phone, we just say hello to each other. And he tells me about his job. He does special effects and stunts for some of the biggest films. Like he rigs the car that flips over 4 times in the movies and he just yeah he works in special effects on these huge films and it was so fascinating and his family's been doing it for 4 generations. His great grandfather did it, and then his grandfather, and then his father, and then him. And it was just really fascinating to learn about this person and what they do and what they're passionate about. And I really enjoyed it. And then all of a sudden, actually about 20 minutes into the flight, he's telling me about uh how he was flying some helicopter for this film when all of a sudden he starts looking blurry and I start getting all dizzy and I start feeling really nauseous and I start seeing two of him and I feel like I am about to vomit on this man. Now, I normally don't get sick when I travel. It's happened like maybe twice in my life where I felt really nauseous, like I was going to throw up. Or remember when you were a kid and you'd sit in the back seat on a road trip and you have to take Dramamine because you get car sick? It was like that. So I start getting all spinny and I'm like, oh God. And he's like, oh God, oh God. And I'm like, I might throw up on you. And he's like, that's okay. Not like, here's a bag, just like, that's okay, throw up on me. Um, but then he like calls for the flight attendant and she gets me ginger ale. And literally, I'm fighting vomiting for the remainder of the flight, which was 30 minutes. I mean, it's to LA to Vegas, so it's 1 hour flight. But it was just so funny. I was getting so nauseous and then thinking I was going to throw up and then not. And then I would feel normal and he'd continue talking or I'd continue talking and then I'd get sick again. But he was so kind and just so wonderful and we just, yeah, had this human moment where we weren't in our phones. You know, normally you sit on a plane and you don't talk to the person next to you. You go to a cafe, you don't talk to the person next to you. You're in your phone, you're on your phone, you're listening to someone else talking, you're listening to this podcast or whatever you're listening to. You're not really interacting with what's in front of you. And so it was just really interesting to do that on this flight. And then I almost vomited 6 times on this man, and he was so kind to me, probably because we, made eye contact and got to know each other and were interested in just each other's lives for that short period of time. So there was this warmth there that if we were just on our phones and I vomited on him, he'd probably cuss me out. Um, and then after the flight, after we landed, I felt nauseous again. And he was like, let me walk you to your car and make sure you get there okay. And like, we like stopped at the Starbucks and he like ordered me a tea to make sure that I was, um, okay, and just wanted to help me feel better. It was just like such a kind thing for a stranger to do. And then walked me to my car to make sure I got in okay to my hotel. It was just like a really nice thing. And I think that happened because I was just present and in the moment. So, yeah. So then I get to Vegas and I walk through the doors of the Paris hotel and I can't believe it. Well, I can believe it. It's Vegas, but there's casinos everywhere. People are just smoking inside. That really just is so baffling to me that it's just allowed there. They're just like, we love cancer here in Vegas. We love it. We love it. And people are smoking and slot machines and they're just consuming, right? They're just drinking and smoking and pouring their money into these machines. And it was just so interesting to walk by and just observe, I didn't gamble when I was there. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I was just kind of observing. And there were also people that were connecting and having fun and having a good time. And they weren't just like in the machine, consuming poison while, giving their money to the slot machines. Like it wasn't all that. There were families connecting and enjoying and having fun and whatever. I was also kind of blown away that of the amount of people who came up to me because you got to remember, like, I don't leave my house. I really don't. I've got a 4 and a 6-year-old. My 6-year-old has special needs. Like, I am not traveling. There was this weird statistic I saw that said 80% of parents with special needs kids don't take vacations. I fucking get it. It's not a vacation, dude. It's really difficult, right? It's a challenge. And so, no, I'm not traveling right now. Hell no. Um, and so yeah, but of course this was 2 days for work. So, that was interesting to see how many people came up to me like, "Oh my God, Laura, are you Laura Clary? Are you Laura Clary? It's Laura Clary. Oh my God." Like pictures left and right. I couldn't go anywhere without at least one person wanting to take a picture or come up and talk with me. It was crazy. It was the Uber driver, it was the barista, it was just the people visiting Vegas. It was everywhere. And I guess it is ironically because everyone's on their phone. Am I destroying everyone's lives? No, but it was really cool to see that. And I told my friend then, and they go, "Oh, was that annoying?" I said, "No, are you insane? It's so cool." Like if nobody ever saw my videos or, my sketches or whatever, I would be just as happy. That is not like what I build my self-esteem on or my happiness level on, but it was really cool. It's never annoying. If you ever see me out there in the world, come up to me and give me a hug. Unless you're smelly. You know what? If you're smelly, definitely give me a hug. Rub your smell all over me, all over my body, and I will never forget it. I don't know what. It got so weird. Whatever. I'm just saying, come up to me. Um, it's never annoying. It's always so cool to know that like something I made its way to you. That's cool. So that, and then I filmed some funny videos. Obviously, that's always fun. Then, uh, I went by myself, right? So during the day I was working, but then at night I was like, what am I going to do? Like I said, I'm not going to gamble. I don't want to touch that. For me, for my brain, it's just, I could get addicted to anything. So I'm not going to do that. What do I do? Well, there was like a dinner that they had for the event. So I went there and they didn't have any vegan options or like very minimal. And I was like, oh man, like I'm in Vegas. I don't have my kids with me. I'm all by my little self. There's no food for me here. Let me just, for shits and giggles, like I'm getting paid for this trip. Let me go ahead and find like the nicest fanciest restaurant that I could find in Las Vegas and just go there by myself, like an asshole. Like, let me just do that. Cause I never do that. Like, when do I do that? I don't do that. I go to the Whole Foods salad bar or make food at home. Like, or I like order takeout Indian or cook, whatever. I'm not going to like nice, super up its own ass, fancy ass restaurants. So I Google, like, actually I chat GPT. I asked ChatGPT, what's like the fanciest, nicest, most 5-star restaurant I could possibly go to? That's like walking distance from the Paris Hotel. So one of the places it recommended was this place called Le Le Cirque, Le Cirque, Le Cirque. And it was in the Bellagio Hotel. So I was like, fuck it. Let me just go to Le Cirque and get some overpriced shit by myself. Now, I'm in my $15 Target dress. It's like a summer dress that's backless. Because I can finally wear backless dresses now that my back has cleared up, though it is breaking out a little bit from travel. But that's like a side note, you guys. I've had back knee literally from the time I moved into LA at 18 to literally 38 years old. I'm not kidding you, dude. Just like not terrible, but I would break out, not on my face, but on my back. Weirdest thing ever. Tried everything, every dermatologist, nothing worked. I got the laser from Kim Kardashian's dermatologist. That was like $20,000. I did it for a post. And I went to all the dermatologists, got the craziest, 40% salicylic acid, benzoyl peroxide, shit, alcohol, burnt my whole back off only for it to just come right back. I tried everything. Then one day I'm out of my bullshit medicated soap, and all that there is in my shower is like this Whole Foods everyday kids soap. And I'm like, I guess I'll use this. So I just put that on my loofah and scrub my body. And I'm like, wait a minute, the next day my skin looked pretty good. And then I just kept using that. And I swear to you, my skin cleared up from this like $10 lavender kids soap. So kids soap was the answer. No dermatologist told me that in 20 years. I went everywhere to try and fix it. It's not perfect, but it works better than anything I've ever used. I'm going to definitely post that and link that because it changed my life. But anyway, I digress. So I had this backless, cute little checkered dress on, but it was very daytime with like dirty Keds. I've been wearing Keds since 9 years old and I've never stopped. So I'm not dressed up, right? So I walk in and immediately the hostess looks at me like, who is this whore? Who is this casually dressed whore? And I was like, hi. And she was like, your reservation? What time was your reservation for? And I was like, oh, I don't have one. She was like, let me see what I can do. But looked at me like I was scum of the earth. And then she comes back and she was like, we do not have any tables, but you can sit at the bar if you'd like. And I was like, okay. So I sit at the bar and then it's just me at the bar and then the bartender. And I order myself a sparkling water and that was only $68. And then I ask the waiter if they have vegan food because when I asked ChatGPT, I was like, what's the fanciest restaurant in Las Vegas that has vegan options? And they said, Le Cirque. They said Le Cirque, which turns out to be a French restaurant. And you know the French. If you know the French hate vegans. French people hate vegans. And they love to eat animals and animal products. We know this. So they're all pissed at me. They look at me even with more disgust. And I was like, look, like, do you have any vegan? They were, let me talk to the chef. It is really hard. This is French cuisine. So it's really hard to make because the chef already has the French recipes prepared, but I will go ask the chef what he can do, slut. So comes back, and she goes, the chef said he can make you. Now, mind you, I was planning on getting like one thing, okay? Because I knew it was like super crazy expensive. And so I was like planning on getting just like one entree, but she scared the ever living out of me, this hostess lady. And so I was just going to do what she says. Like I was her immediately. She goes, the chef said that he can prepare you a custom 3-course meal that is totally plant-based just for you. And it will be $300. And I was like, okay, I'll take it. She didn't give me an option. She was like, this is what you're doing. And if you don't have this 3-course meal for $300, you're getting the out. And so I just said, okay. And I'm just like, whatever, it's an experience. So then as I'm sitting there waiting for my first course, this man sits down, not next to me, but like 2 seats over. And he's like this totally Southern. He's from actually, I believe it was Mississippi, and he came here for a storage unit convention, and he owns all the storage units in Mississippi. He owns a plane, he owns 6 cars, he owns 300 cows, and don't give me that PETA cows are used for meat. And he just went on talking about how he runs the town he's from and talking about how gorgeous all 3 of his ex-wives were, but that now he's, single and ready to mingle. And he was just like fully up his own ass and such a character. And, so I chatted with him a little bit. And then my first course came. And when I tell you, it was the size of my pinky. Okay. It was. And I know that's like a joke you see in movies, the super fancy restaurant with the tiny portion. It was that. It was smaller than that. It was literally a piece of lettuce. It was a piece of iceberg lettuce the size of my pinky with like a little bit of crushed up pistachio and like lemon juice on it. And that's it. That's it. Nothing else. And I just looked at it and I laughed. I looked at it and I laughed because I knew I was paying $300 plus tip. And I looked at this tiny ass little quarter size piece of iceberg and I laughed. And the lady did not. She did not laugh. It was serious business. And then I pick up my fork and my knife to like cut in to this pinky sized piece of iceberg. And then the dude is looking at me, the Mississippi dude. And he's looking at me and he's laughing at me trying to eat this thing. And I said, "What? What are you laughing at?" And he's like, "Oh, nothing. I'm just observing." It's like I think I was maybe holding the knife wrong or something. I don't know. Were you supposed to eat it with with your hands? I don't know. I don't know. So I finished that in one bite. One bite. First course done. Then my second course comes. And the second course was the size of my palm. Truly, the size of my palm. It was so small. So small. It was like a little bit of flax seeds, and that was it. It was like this tiny little bowl with flax seeds in it. And honestly, I don't even know what else. There could have been like maybe a little bit of lentil or some shit, but it was so small. And 2 bites done. I mean, I just couldn't believe the audacity of this place. I didn't know if they were punishing me because I was vegan or the chef was just like, I do not have anything that is not from a cow's butt. I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Then third course came and the third course was risotto. The risotto was pretty good. It was pretty good. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was rice. It was just rice. They just steamed some rice. And I think they just squeezed the remainder of the lemon that they used on the first course into that rice. And I might have gotten like 1 piece of mushroom. And they were like, risotto. There's your risotto. It was just like watery rice with like 1 little piece of mushroom. And that's it. And that's it. And, you know, oh, and then they brought passion fruit for dessert, like a little bit of passion fruit. like just, the passion fruit, and I just scooped the passion fruit out. So that was probably $70 of the meal was just a fucking piece of passion fruit. I mean, it was so dumb, but I gotta say, wasn't on my phone. I was observing all the characters. I just wanted to watch people that were like so stupid rich and just like up their own ass. And I watched this man from Mississippi get progressively drunker. And then he starts telling me how he loves cocaine. And it was just all so funny. And, I chatted with a bartender who was a character. What was interesting about him? Uh, Actually not much. I don't know. He's just a nice guy. I guess the one thing about the bartender that was interesting to me, but added to the experience was at one point the lady came by and she was like, "Actually, ma'am, a table has opened up if you want to take it." And then he looked at me and he goes, "Don't take it. Sit here." And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "Sit here. Don't take the table." And I was like, and he goes, tell her you're not going to take the table," like that. And I was like, "Oh, all right. No, I'm good on the table." It was the weirdest thing. And it wasn't like then the bartender was like not leaving me alone and like hitting on me and weird. He wasn't. He was just working. But for whatever reason, he was so adamant that I don't take that table. And it was just a very strange moment. So I would love to know your thoughts on why he didn't want me to take that table because it was really strange. But I I just listened and I was like, "All right, fine." And it was cool because if I took the table, I would have been like all by myself. Whereas at least this way I got to chat to people and like see the people walking in and out. And it was more of an experience. But anyway, that was my Vegas. Filmed funny stuff, had a ridiculously overpriced meal that was just so stupid. Oh, and I forgot to say the hostess that thought I was a big literally brought me a pashmina. She brought me a scarf and she was like, "I brought this for you in case you get cold." And she wrapped it around me, like, "Cover up, you slut." And she just wrapped it around me. And I was like, "Okay, cool." So, like, I wore this cashmere pashmina the whole dinner. Um, so I guess that was nice, but I think she did that because I don't know, she didn't want people walking in seeing my back, my bare back. I don't know. So that was my experience, and then I walked home and saw the freak show on the Vegas Strip and just, people watched, and this girl with feathers and a thong came up to me and was talking to me, and then guys were coming up to me, and everyone was coming up and just talking and living life, and it was very alive in Vegas, and I ran to my hotel, passed out by 10 p.m. Then the next day, I went to a spa. I went to the spa in the hotel and it was so amazing. I got a 100-minute massage. 100 minutes. I haven't done that in a long time. 100 minutes. And I just like relaxed in a way that I hadn't in so long. And I was in and out of the sauna, sweating, praying, meditating, and had just a really nice, easy flight back. So that is my trip. It was a success. I was so excited to see the kiddos when I got home. I felt guilty even leaving them for 2 days, but I talked to my best friend's mom who owned a daycare for 40 years, and she's like, "It's okay to leave. It's okay to leave your kids with other trusting, loving adults. It's good for them. You need to sometimes go for your sanity." And in this case, it was to pay my mortgage. Okay, that's all. I think I covered it all. Thank you for listening to me ramble. I hope you enjoyed the stories. Comment below your Vegas experiences. Did you have a wild one? I guess the only other Vegas experience I had was my very first commercial that I ever did in my life was a "What Happens in Vegas Stays in Vegas" commercial. Do you guys remember those? Okay, this is going to show you my fucking age. Get ready for this. So this was I'm not kidding you, it must have been 2005. 2005, I was 18 years old. and I book my first SAG commercial. Oh my God, I'm SAG eligible. This is huge. This is big news. I'm about to get in the union, the Screen Actors Guild union. And I booked this What Happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, and it shoots in Vegas, and they're flying me out there. Oh my God. And the spot was me and 3 girls all laying out by the pool in our bikinis. And one girl pulls out her phone and she goes, "Oh my gosh, look at these pictures from last night." And then I go, "What? Pictures? You can take pictures on your phone?" And then she goes, "Yeah, they do that now." And then there's a shot of the pool and the phone just gets thrown in the pool because what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. And apparently, picture phones were new. Taking a picture on your phone didn't exist the year before. And the only other funny thing about that, and Patrick, if we can find that commercial, that would be so funny to play that here. I feel like I looked for it once and I couldn't find it, but I really want to find that commercial. The only other funny part from that shoot was I come out of the trailer in my bikini. I've got dark, short hair at the time. And I come out in my bikini. The director takes one look at me and goes, "Get her to the tanning salon now." And I'm like, "Oh." And they throw my ass in a van and take me to a spray tan place and spray me down because apparently I was just too pasty for the scene. So those are my 2 experiences of Vegas. And yeah, tell me your craziest Vegas experience in the comments. Thank you guys for listening or watching. If you haven't yet subscribed, please subscribe. If you want the uncensored version of any and all episodes plus lives every week, go to patreon.com/Laura Clary. That's patreon.com/Laura Clary. I also have a monthly book club, which, by the way, we need to pick the book. I'm leaning towards the 4 Agreements, but I just want to run that by my patrons. So make sure to subscribe, you guys. It helps support me and it helps keep us going. You get all your content first, lives, book club, a great community of amazing, mostly women who just want to connect. All right. Love you guys. Go masturbate to some affirmations. Okay. Bye.